ratification by the United States Congress, as it happened in the case of CTBT. And there are less numbers of states required, there may be less number of states required for entry into force of the prospective FMCT. And therefore, its entry into force, to me, is questionable. I don't think it's forgiven, it's taken for granted that an FMCT would enter into force. Negotiations on the FMCT are currently stalled due to Pakistan's opposition. Pakistan is being sharply criticized for being the lone country blocking the negotiations to formulate an FMCT, which is a vast majority of the other members of the CD want, and the international community also wants. All great powers want an FMCT. It is in the sense, China is also in favor of negotiating an FMCT, which is internationally and effectively verifiable. It is, however, sympathetic to Pakistan's position in the sense that any prospective treaty should take into account the security interest of all the member states. China's ambassador to CD and the CD president from March 21 to May 29, Wang Kun, stated during an interview to Arms Control Association that for an SMCT to be meaningful, it is essential that all countries with the capability of producing fissile materials be on board. This was the kind of an indirect support which he gave to Pakistan, that you can't have FMCT without Pakistan on board, and there were also France and China against the FMCT being taken out of the CD to the UN General Assembly. Main contents of Pakistan's FMCT policy. Pakistan voted in favor of the 1990 UN General Assembly resolution. Number two, as per its current policy, Pakistan is apparently articulated by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and presented by Ambassador Munir Akram at CD, is that prospective FMCT is discriminatory and therefore in violation of the 1993 UN General Assembly resolution, as Honorable Dr. Tanveer Khan has already said it. It also violates the Shannon mandate that supports a non-discriminatory FMCT. I hope the honorable audience know what a Shannon mandate is. I might explain during the question and answer session if I have a time. More importantly, Pakistan states that the prospective FMCT would legitimize the great disparity of existing stockpiles of fissile material and allow countries with large stockpiles to continue to add nuclear weapons to their arsenal. That was the purpose that I have displayed the disparity of figures, that which Pakistan does not want to be legitimized. Pakistan now considered that the Indo-US nuclear deal would help India to improve its military stockpiles of fissile material, increase its triad of nuclear forces, and disturb the strategic equilibrium and stability in South Asia. By the way of referring, as I said before in the IPS conference, that Indo-US nuclear deal is in direct violation of the Article 1 of the NPT, which says that no nuclear weapon state would directly or indirectly transfer any material, technology, assistance whatsoever to a non-nuclear weapon state. And India is a non-nuclear weapon state so far as the principle and legitimacy is concerned. It has not been a nuclear weapon state member of the NPT. It's not a de jure nuclear weapon state. It is a de facto nuclear weapon state. In legality, it is a non-nuclear weapon state. So it's a violation of the Article 1 of the Pakistan postulates that a prospective FMCT would undermine its national security interest, especially its minimum credible deterrence, as it would perpetuate its lower stockpiles, and freeze its current nuclear weapons capability. Some think tanks in Pakistan, e.g. SASI and others, support an FMT, Fissile Material Treaty, instead of an FMCT. And since Dr. Maria today is on the afternoon panel, I'm sure she would explain what an FMT is as compared with what is an FMCT. Pakistan's FMCT policy has a wide public support. However, except the elite echelons, the general public has not demonstrated any particular concern about the FMCT because it's not a public issue, it's primarily an elite issue and decision makers deal with. Pakistan's FMC policy and appraisal. I think here most of my colleagues and audience may not agree with me, but I very firmly believe what I have looked into very deeply for the last 1 week. Pakistan FMCT policy concerns around its national security interest is sound in principle, cogently argued, and well presented. It is based on hard facts like the disparity of existing stockpiles and discriminatory nature of the prospective FMCT. It is, however, less pragmatic. This is my first important point. It is less pragmatic. In its general policy on non-proliferation, Pakistan has never supported principles like discriminatory nature of the NPT and its associated elements. Contrary to that, Pakistan supported the NPT but did not sign it for geopolitical reasons concerning India. There was a very famous statement by Mr. Agha Shahi as Foreign Secretary that Pakistan supports the NPT in principle but will not sign it for geostrategic considerations. So that is our point. Allowing negotiations, please listen this carefully. Allowing negotiations is not axiomatic that Pakistan will have to vote for approval of the prospective FMCT. We still have the option to allow negotiations, but when it comes to voting, we can cast a negative vote. And that treaty, prospective treaty, will not become a treaty. So that option should also be kept into mind. It is ignoring the chances that some other countries might also vote against the FMCT either because it is not in their interest to sign or they might have reservations. Number 4, Pakistan has not coordinated its opposition to negotiations with other actual and potential opponents of negotiations or those states which have reservations. China, Iran, some GCC countries might have is, Israel is definitely not going to sign the NPT. But is gleefully silent that Pakistan is bearing its part of the brunt as well. If Israel is not going to sign the NPT, we have another vote against it, then why are we alone bearing the brunt of halting negotiations on the FMCT? I think we should look into rationally. Pakistan is not taking into account India's non-proliferation history of making dramatic U-turns like CTBT, which it authored, but when CTBT came to realize, India cast a negative vote. India's FMC policy, though currently supportive, but it may take a volte-face if there is no other opposition to the FMCT. This is my opinion. I very strongly believe in that. Pakistan's FMCT options. Currently, Pakistan has 5 options. I emphasize, I have looked into it again and again.